Cinderella, the Light of Love. Cinderella and the prince were living happily in the palace. The glass slipper had a special place by the window. Every night the slipper shone in the moonlight.
This glass slipper always reminds us that true love will find a way to shine in any darkness,
Cinderella often said. Everyone in the kingdom was happy, except for Cinderella's stepmother and stepsisters. One day, a circus arrived in the kingdom.
My name is Dervin, and my circus is the most spectacular in the world. And tonight, the show will be free,
said Dervin. When Cinderella's stepmother saw a circus monkey steal a shiny watch, she thought of a way to finally get rid of Cinderella. That night, the whole kingdom was excited about the circus. The best seats were reserved for the royal family, but no one noticed that Sparkle the monkey was in the stands stealing shiny objects, including the fairy godmother's magic wand. But that wasn't all. Outside the circus, Dervin and his men were ransacking all of the houses. They entered the palace and took everything they found, even the glass slipper.
If I alert the guards, you are sure to be caught,
said Cinderella's stepmother when she saw Dervin.
I will keep silent if you kidnap Cinderella,
added the stepmother. Back at the circus, Jock and Gus followed the clowns backstage. They got an unpleasant surprise. The clowns were not funny, they were very angry. Instead of finding jewels and valuables, Sparkle had collected things that were shiny but worthless. When the show was over, everyone returned happily to their homes.
The glass slipper has disappeared,
exclaimed Cinderella.
It seems that Dervin's circus was not free,
said the Grand Duke.
Don't worry, I will find the slipper with my magic,
said the fairy godmother, but her wand had disappeared too. Soon dawn came, and there was no trace of Dervin and his men.
We still have our love. That cannot be stolen,
Cinderella said to the prince. Later, Cinderella was stunned when her stepmother entered the palace and gave her a hug.
I believe that there is a chance to recover the slipper, but I need your help and you must not tell anyone,
said her stepmother. That night, the princess followed the directions that her stepmother had given her. Dervin and his men were waiting there to kidnap her. The stepmother went to the prince to tell him what had happened.
He must want a ransom, said the prince. I would pay anything to get Cinderella back.
Have you received a note from him?
Asked the stepmother, knowing that the note Dervin had given her would never fall into the prince's hands. The stepmother convinced the prince to let her and her daughter stay in the palace in case some news of Cinderella arrived while he was away.
Welcome home, girls, said the stepmother.
On the ship, Dervin told Cinderella that she would cook and clean until the prince had paid the ransom. He locked her up with the animals. Cinderella told them the story of the glass slipper and how she met the prince. So many happy stories attracted the attention of a pair of seagulls. The princess offered them some crumbs. Meanwhile, in the palace, Cinderella's stepsisters spent all day giving orders to the servants. Jock saw that a paper had fell from the stepmother's purse. He picked it up and ran away with Gus.
It's the note from the thief. The stepmother knew where Cinderella was the whole time,
said Jock. Gus and Jock went to look for Cinderella at the beach. By luck, they found the fairy godmother and told her what had happened. But a pair of seagulls caught the little mice. These were the seagulls that Cinderella had fed. They carried them to the princess. When the stepmother saw the prince return alone, she quickly drew a false trail on a piece of paper and tied it to a pigeon. When the pigeon arrived, the prince decided to follow the trail and look for Cinderella in the forest. Cinderella was very happy to see Jock and Gus, but she began to cry when she heard what her stepmother had done. To cheer her up, Sparkle, Jack, and Gus got the glass slipper from the Dervin's room and brought it to Cinderella. A ray of moonlight hit the slipper and lit up the room.
Of course, true love always finds a way to shine in the darkness,
said Cinderella as she placed it in the window. I know that light, said the prince. It's Cinderella! Dervin was furious when he discovered that Cinderella had sent a signal to the prince. Where is Cinderella? Asked the prince as he fought the pirates. Meanwhile, Gus and Jock found the fairy godmother's wand and asked the seagulls to carry them to her. On the ship, the prince took a rope and swung to Cinderella, taking her in his arms. But Dervin cut the rope.
Watch out for those sharp rocks. They are really deadly,
Dervin said as they fell. With the wand back in her hands, the fairy godmother conjured a spell to stop Cinderella and the prince in midair and set them safely on the beach. And Cinderella and the prince lived happily ever after. Again. The end.